Wrapping up the first of this 8 CISSP domains, let's look back at what we covered. We looked at the CIA Triad. We looked at how we ensure the confidentiality of our data, we ensure the integrity of it, and what we can do to make sure it's available to the people who need access to it. We looked at the IAAA model, how we identify, authenticate, authorize our users, and hold them accountable. We looked at the principle of need to know, least privilege, non-repudiation, and how subjects and objects work together. We looked at the governance structures we have in place in our organization, the control frameworks we use, and how we implement layered defense in depth. We looked at how we need to adhere to laws and regulations, how we handle evidence, and what we can do that can make evidence admissible or inadmissible in court. We covered how we do our due diligence and due care to ensure that we're not negligent, which then would make us liable. We looked at the different types of intellectual property, how they work, how they're granted, and the most common attacks on them. We talked about the ISC² Code of Ethics, as well as a couple of other ethic frameworks that you need to know. Then we looked at qualitative and quantitative risk analysis. The qualitative risk analysis is the vague one, the one where we use guessing and assumptions. We put it into a risk analysis matrix, and depending on the scoring there, we move it into quantitative risk analysis. That's where we put numbers on the risks, and we choose how we want to handle the risk. If we want to accept it, avoid it, mitigate it, transfer it, whatever our risk response is, we'll do that after the quantitative risk analysis. And then finally, we briefly looked at the different types of attackers and some of the attacks they use. All of this will be covered more in the later domains, but like I said before, this domain is really important. This is the foundation where all the other domains are built on top of. You need to have a very solid understanding of this domain. And that doesn't mean that any of the other domains are not important, just understand that all of them tie back to this one. If we look at our encryption and cryptography, which is a large part of domain 3, our policies from this domain could say something like, we need strong encryption, and from that we will design our procedures that could pick the specific type of encryption, AES 256 for whatever. So when you're going through the other domains, reference things back to this domain. Think back, this is a preventative type of access control, or it could even be more specific. This is preventative technical control. Understand where all of the other topics fit into this one, because everything ties back to it. Thank you for listening. Let's move on to domain 2. Which is asset security. See you there.